Hey everybody, it is Marty K. I hope everybody is well. I know it's been a couple of weeks since I have been on and done any videos because I have been prepping and working because this is my busy season, so I have to do the work that pays my bills. And so I really haven't had a lot of time to sit down and actually do videos. I have had a little time to write, so um, I'll put the links to those things in the description so you can kind of get a grasp of what's been on my mind. But I had a couple of things I want to talk to you all about that to me are really important. It may not be important to you, but they are important to me and they tie into the rationale behind um, prepping more or speeding up your prepping. So, before I get into it, I know everybody is talking about Will Smith slapping Chris Rock. And I did write about it because, um, I just had a totally different perspective. Everybody's all emotional and, talking about Will Smith and how, it was violence and it's setting the race back, so on and so forth. And, setting us back how? Without anybody doing anything, the race is already back just because of white supremacy. So, I feel like, black people are just extra as hell sometimes. Of course, yes, it's embarrassing. I will say that. Um, but it's not my embarrassment to suffer because I don't have to go home with Will Smith. I'm not in his family. What he does not impact me. Um, I'm not his wife, so I don't have to deal with the fallout. I'm just a spectator seeing a black man in a weak moment, possibly confused because of things that just it was an emotional reaction. It was a weak moment. Um, but there's so much in that entire situation. And I'm going to talk about it a little bit, but after that, I'm not going to talk about it anymore because everybody's on the internet talking about it. Apparently, it's getting good ratings, and I don't really like gossip. I don't really like celebrity talk, but there's a lesson in it, so I want to talk about it. And I want to give a shout out to Dr. Hassan Johnson, who I follow, but he also he gave me some clarity. I had a piece of it, but I was missing a piece. So the situation is much deeper than what we see, and so I want to talk about that. So um, again, I don't condone violence. Having been a victim of domestic violence, having grown up in a situation where my mother was violent, I don't necessarily just believe in using violence for any reason outside of self-defense. Um, so the slap was bad and could have been handled a different way. But the things leading up to the slap are the things that I want to focus on. And so first you have a black man basically humiliating a black woman about her hair choice, which is not really a choice. It stems from, a medical disorder that Jada Pinkett Smith has been very public about. So there's that. There's Will Smith laughing at another black man's joke and thinking it's funny until he looks over at his wife. And whatever that thing is between he and his wife, he felt the need to address um, or protect his wife in a very public place in front of white people, which is always a problem because white people dictate how we behave. And I understand that, but in that moment, Will Smith decided he was going to take, you know, things into his own hands. That's his prerogative. Whatever the fallout is from that, he will have to deal with the consequences. But he made a choice, and I feel like as a black man, he should have the choice because we are so controlled and so consumed about what other people think that we forget that we are human and that we are constantly controlled. Constantly, we have to be concerned about our safety and our actions, that our emotions are just all over the place, and we sometimes people snap. Like, this is a man who for the most part has been very professional, although his wife has been very public in her indiscretions and so on and so forth. He has been very private, and just has taken a lot of shit from just people making jokes about him, his wife, his children, um, their open relationship or whatever, things that are not our business. And so this man for years has put up with people talking about him. And he's been quiet, he hasn't said anything, he's just kind of suffered and maybe spoken to people that he's been close to. He's dealt publicly with his marriage, and um, they just have so many issues. I'm not the person to beat up on people. I don't necessarily care about what's going on with celebrities, but I care because I see the human side of it. And when you talk about people not really knowing how to protect their loved ones in a proper way and handle their emotions, it stems from childhood and childhood trauma and childhood lack, and nobody protecting them and modeling good protective um, behaviors so that they know how to modulate their behavior, their emotions, and assess and evaluate situations in a way that when it's time to use violence, and when it's time to say, hey, after the show, I'm gonna get you, or hey, when the time is right, I'm gonna see you someplace. So if you know anything about their childhood, Jada Pinkett Smith, both her parents were on heroin. They did not model any probably behavior that allowed those kids to be protected. She and her brother, those kids grew up basically taking care of themselves. So what I saw when I saw Jada Pinkett's face is I saw a woman, but I saw a vulnerable little girl who needed somebody to protect her in that moment, and she had no one. She was sitting alone. There was nobody on her left, nobody on her right. There were people around her laughing. She was alone. Her husband, she wasn't even sitting next to her husband. And then her husband, who was sitting next to other people, was laughing and whatever. But when he looked at his wife, he saw her in that moment alone. He saw her vulnerable. And he, too, was a man who, if you read his biography, I didn't read his biography, but I just read some excerpts from it where he talks about his father being present but drunk, present but violent, present and not protective of he and his mother. His father was abusive, and his parents split when he was young. So he too did not have a man in his household modeling protection, modeling behavior that was protective, that would teach him how to handle different situations at different times. So when you don't have that when you're a child, your growth is stunning. And so when you go into an adulthood and you look at all these dysfunctional adults, you may be a dysfunctional adult. We're not privy to your dysfunction. We're not privy to your dysfunctional family. We don't know all the ins and outs of your family. But what we do know is, catch you at the right time, your dysfunction will manifest itself. And so I feel like that was a weak moment for Will Smith. He's a man who's been struggling pretty much all his life to please a woman who seems to be insatiable, to some extent. And problematic. Like she's not exhibited protection for him, and she's put him in some bad situations that he's probably had to deal with. And she's pretty much said that, but he chose to stay, and she chose to stay because they both understand the value of staying together because they've had lives with parents who were absent. Will grew up without his father. Jada grew up without a mother and a father because her mom was on drugs when she wasn't high. She was in the street, and they grew up on their own. So they understand what lack is and not having good parents in household. So they model what they didn't have the best that they know how. So that's the best way to say it. So I'm not here to judge these people. Like we are seeing the manifestation of their lack in real time. And having grown up in a dysfunctional household, having grown up with no father, having grown up in abusive situations, and then trying to navigate because nobody taught me anything in life. I've made mistakes because I wasn't taught shit. And I'm 50 and I'm still learning. And I have grace for people because, we all idiots. It's easy for somebody to just wag their finger and say, hey, you should have done so and so, you should have waited. But, he deserves whatever. But, we as Black people we've turned into white people when it comes to um, not giving second chances and not seeing the flaws or imperfections of people. We just want punishment. Is they did something wrong, we want to punish them. That's the very white way of Eurocentric way of handling everything. That's how they treat us. So we are basically internalizing what they've taught us. Um, yes, he could have done things differently. Will Smith could have done things differently. So could have Chris Rock. He's a Black man bashing on Black women. He's off code as far as I'm concerned. And he's been off code for a long time. So I don't have an issue with getting his face slapped. Particularly maybe not in front of white people at the Oscars. But if he had got his little ass dusted a little bit, I'm fine with that. Because you know what? Chris Rock has been real greasy when it comes to Black people. He's accustomed to being the only um, Black man in the room. And so to some extent, when you get rich and you get to a certain level, that's what's there for you. But they only allow those types of people who are safe in those spaces. And he's been in those spaces because he's safe. So he didn't have any issue with speaking greasy about Black people in front of white people because that's what he does. And if you go back and look at some of his videos and things, you will see that he hasn't hidden who he was. And so what we have to do is take a step back and just look at the whole thing in its totality. We're looking at three flawed people who had a bad moment. And, as far as I'm concerned, a Black man protecting his woman is what he's supposed to do. He's protecting his wife. May not be in the best manner, but he did what he thought was appropriate or good to quell everything in that moment. And so it is what it is. You can't take it back. The whole world saw it. We still talking about it. Here it is, Friday, Thursday, Friday, whatever the day is. I don't know. Thursday. So, it happened Sunday. Here it is Thursday. We're still having a conversation about it. It's not any of our business. I don't care. But what is a problem, and what Dr. Hassan basically pointed out was, I'm sorry, Dr. Hassan Johnson. What he pointed out was the fact that how do I say this? He pointed out the fact that because Jada and Will have this very abnormal relationship, unhealthy, Will Smith reacted in a way that was not appropriate because his wife doesn't respect him and he's trying to get her approval. And I could see that. You know, as a woman, we always want people to protect us. We, you know, you see on the internet, protect all women, listen to all women, validate all women. But there's nothing for men. Men just supposed to shut up and do what we say do. Shut up and be supportive. Shut up, just give us your money and take care of us and don't say nothing. And so, you know, when I listen to him talk about how, you know, Will Smith did what he thought he should have done, and no man has a right to tell another man how to protect his family. But that method was not appropriate, and it was reactionary because he was fine laughing. You know, Will Smith was fine and laughing with Chris Rock until he looked over at his wife and saw his wife wasn't happy. Then he got up and did the slap, and Jada was happy. So I knew that she was happy that he protected her and stood up for her. But I also saw that little girl in her that was broken. He identified that little girl in her that's broken and needed that protection because probably nobody in her life has done that for her. She's probably had to do that for herself. So he, you know, probably through counseling or whatever, he understands what he's dealing with. We're not privy to it. And there's probably some stuff with him that he's dealing with that we're not privy to. For him to stand up was probably a big deal. Now, the consequences for standing up in that manner, he'll have to deal with. But for him, he's never stood up. He's been quiet. He's been passive. He's been, you know, he sat at the table. You could just see, you know, at the red table talk, you could see this man is broken and kind of checked out. It's the best way to describe it. But he has figured out a way to navigate it in order to stay with his family. And I guess the best way he's done it thus far is check out. So what we have to do is take a step back and look at everything in its totality and still understand it ain't none of our business. What he does with his family ain't my business. I don't care. I don't care. I'm not gonna pay Will's bail. Will ain't gonna pay my bail. Will don't even know I exist. But I respect the fact that that is a personal family matter, and that matter between Will Smith and Chris Rock and Jada Pinkett. That's Jada Pinkett Smith. That's their business, and I'm not gonna keep giving commentary on it. But what I will say is that if you take a wife or a spouse or, you know, men have a right to protect their families, and they do that in the best way they know how. A lot of times it's based on what was modeled in their childhood. When it wasn't modeled, they have to figure it out. So we need to have grace. And I'm not going to sit up here and beat up a black man or a black woman about anything. I'm not going to even really have smoke for Chris Rock, except for he has been greasy and off code for a long time. And I don't appreciate, you know, black people who have to get up and clown black people in front of white people. We're clowns all day, every day for them. So they don't need nothing else to laugh at. They got plenty to laugh at. So we shouldn't give them anything to laugh at or talk about, as far as I'm concerned. Um, and we shouldn't even be having award ceremonies with them for that matter, because everything is rigged in their favor anyway. It's their stuff. You know, you integrated into it, and your entertainment. You think about it. They want a black guy to stand up and laugh and make white people laugh, like a jester or you know, a clown, minstrel. And you know, if Chris Rock, um, Kevin Hart, same thing. So you know, I just look at it differently. We don't even have to be there. I don't give a shit about the Oscars. I really don't. They give awards to people for propaganda, so fuck them. That's what I have to say. Um, so as far as making us and setting us back, whatever, he was already back. And you go into an integrated Oscars, you're waiting on white validation for your work. You're concerned about what white people are gonna say. Like the whole thing is just so whack. I just don't even have energy for it. But what I will say is we need to move away from entertainment and get back to business. So that's all I have to say about it. Um, Black people have a right to protect themselves. They have a right to protect their families in whatever way they choose. They have to deal with the consequences. We don't, as long as you don't go out here and harm a bunch of other people. Whatever that altercation is between those three people, we witnessed it. That's, at the end of the day, that's not our business. I don't really have any other commentary, so if I'm tired of talking about it, it's not important. It's not going to free us. It's not going to empower Black people. It's not going to liberate Black people. It's not going to get us reparations. It's not going to save the economic collapse. It's not going to stop the New World Order. I don't give a shit. Okay? All right. Moving on to the next topic. Um, I will put the piece that I wrote about the Will Smith situation in the description so you can have an opportunity. It's long, so if you want to check it out, you can. But I just gave my 2 cents, and that's really all I have to say about it. It's, at the end of the day, it's broken people trying to figure out how to live. And even Chris Rock, he's a broken person, and everybody exhibits their brokenness. You can't hide it. It manifests itself. And what we are witnessing is people who are in the public eye having a very public moment that should be private. And I don't condone violence, but I just know it's reality, and we need to stop acting like people should be perfect all the time. People are not. Um, People live and learn on the fly. It's just one of those moments. Yeah, you're supposed to be grown and older, but we're still learning. You learn every day until you die, and if you don't, then you're already dead. So um, I'm done talking about Will Smith, Jada Pinkett Smith, and Chris Rock and a slap, because it's doesn't impact me at all. It's a distraction, if anything. All right, so I'm gonna move on to Hunter Biden and this laptop. I'm gonna be use code words because they like to censor us, and I've been censored a lot lately. So I just want to talk about just briefly, but this laptop. Pay attention to the news that's coming out surrounding it. It's coming from conservative media, so if you just get your news from one place, you're going to miss out on it. But it's really important because, one, it's coming out during a political year. Um, so you can't be distracted about it. It is important, but don't be distracted or sidetracked by it, because the whole laptop debacle coming out right before November is a political ploy. It is something the mainstream media is probably just being used to promote, or it is there's a outcome that they expect, and so we can't be moved by that particular news that's going to come out, because we can be moved, but we need to be moved rationally, because the whole reason it's coming out now is because there is an outcome that somebody wants to achieve, and we can't allow that to happen. And so that's likely Republicans or the conservatives have waited to put this information out. They could have put it out last year because they had it. They didn't, and they waited until this year. Why? Because they want to win big come November. And so in order for them to win, they have to put out all this stuff, white noise, in the midst of COVID, in the midst of World War III, in the midst of all these other things, metaverse rolling out, people finding out news about COVID vaccine is making us sick and gonna kill us. So there is a motive behind this. Now, the laptop story is important because it is tied to Ukraine, it is tied to energy, it is tied to money, it is tied to China. And so I'm not going to talk about it. I'm going to put a link in the description and let you read, but I'm just giving you a heads up. Pay attention to it. Pay attention to the people that are going down, that have been around this story. Pay attention to Papa. Y'all know who Papa is. Papa Jim Crow. He's involved in it. And so, although I will say that, it is being used as a political ploy to sway Democrats, liberals, undecideds, whatever, to possibly swing over and vote for the Republicans. There's so much propaganda out there. We're just really not going to be able to make any quick, rational decisions, and we can't vote emotionally. You can't move emotionally in this hour. So read as much as you can, find out what you can. Don't necessarily take what you hear from liberal mainstream media or conservative mainstream media as gospel. Read the information, pull the facts, and leave the emotions and the opinions on the screen when you read it. But the facts are really important, and so we need to um, pay attention. And understand there are no good parties here. The Republican Party is just as dirty and low down and bad as the Democratic Party. And so I'm telling you, you are going to have to really change how you look at policy. You're going to have to change how you look at politics. You're going to have to even just change how you see politicians, because they are not our friend. They are not in it for us. They are in this for themselves. So you have to think for yourself. You have to think for the collective. You have to think about the future, your children, your grandchildren, your great grandchildren, people in your family that you haven't even met yet, because what you do today in this year and in 2024 will impact them. And if we don't start pushing back and using our critical thinking skills and stop being emotional and stop being led, because at the end of the day, you're given a few options to give the appearance that you have a choice, but you don't really have a choice. They've already made the decisions for you. The outcome has already been planned. And what we are doing is we're looking at the news, forming decisions, speaking publicly about it on social media and writing about it, whatever. And they're collecting all this data so they know what to say to us. They know what to put in the news next. It's all just a big scam. So what you have to do is think critically, be patient, read more. Stop listening to people talk to you about the news. When somebody writes a story, read the articles, click on those links, go where those links take you, analyze everything, make notes, jot down stuff, and then be able to have discussions with more facts instead of reading a headline and feel like you know everything, because a lot of times these headlines are misleading. The good stuff is in the article, and a lot of times the best stuff is in the middle or at the end of the article. They don't really tell you much in the lead in. They need your eyeballs to stay on that page until the very end of that piece. So make sure when you read to the end of the piece, read to the end, to the middle at least, because a lot of times the real nitty gritty of what is being said is at the end or in the middle somewhere. It's not going to be at the beginning for you to get everything that you need. And the media companies know that now. So because they watched us for years half-ass read stuff and think we know something. So they put the good stuff in there at the bottom, but you only read the top part and think you know everything. So read more, keep up with this Papa Son's laptop story. It's a big deal, and it's likely the reason that we are at war with P Daddy and C Daddy, Chi Daddy. They are, um, everybody's got something to hide. And I think that P Daddy has some stuff on Papa and Papa's son and Papa's brother. And Papa got to keep the stuff from coming out, because then Papa is going to make the whole Democratic Party look bad and lose. And also, he will make 45 be right in the things that he was telling us, because you look back, um, 45 said some stuff and we didn't really pay attention to it. And he is, I'm not saying that he's perfect or good or anything, but some of the things that he was talking about is coming out to be the truth. And so even though he's not on the up and up, again, extract what he's saying and tie it to how we taxpayers are getting ready to be on the hook for billions of dollars in a new war that's going to help Europe reorganize, and we black people can't even get reparations here. America's getting ready to bring in people from all over the world, white people, so that they can increase their numbers here. And while they are depressing our votes, not treating us well, and not do anything for the African American community who has been here. So there are a lot of things going on, and I'll talk about those things later. But pay attention to Papa's son's laptop story. It's important. You need to know what is happening in the world, and you need a different perspective. So do your own research, read alternative sources. There are plenty of people talking about just the hardcore facts, and we're not getting that from mainstream media. I don't watch mainstream media, so I don't know what they're talking about. But what I do know is I remember this story when 45 was talking about it, and some things were true that he said back then, but we ignored it. I didn't ignore it. I paid attention to it and made a mental note, but um, the Democratic Party was able to suppress the information. And so now it's coming out, and it's going to come out in a big way because it's a political year. The Republicans need to win. So everybody's around here gathering intel and dirt on people, but nobody gathers dirt and does dirt like conservatives. I'm sorry. And Republicans, I'm sorry, the Democrats don't know how to play that game. They try to be good and righteous like they're saviors and better than. Like, that's not gonna work no more. So we know everybody's playing a game and everybody's dirty. What you have to do is just try to get the information and get the facts and come to your own conclusion. But nothing that is happening now is accidental. It was planned, and what you need to know is that people are hiding things and using us to pay for wars and military equipment and other things to not only help them enrich themselves, but to help white people stay in power. It's all about, at the end of the day, white supremacy. So um, just read more, listen to mainstream media less. That's the takeaway. All right. I have a checklist because I had a lot of things I need to talk about, and I haven't talked to y'all for a while. So I'm just going down my checklist. So the next thing I want to talk about is I'm moving to Rumble. Oh, before I move on, I will also put a couple of links about this Papa's son's laptop story in the description, because you need to know where to start to continue doing your research. So make sure you check out those links in the description so that you can um, do your own research, check out things, and be informed. That's the only thing I can tell you. Be informed as much as you can, and try not to debate people on social media, because remember, social media is not a real place. It's a bunch of people with opinions. Um, So the next thing I want to talk about is I am moving to Rumble, and I will keep my YouTube channel up, but I'm not gonna post here as much as I will on Rumble. And one reason is because on YouTube, I'm suppressed. It's one thing to have to compete with a bunch of other people, but also uh, I have to um, deal with suppression. So a lot of times I'll create videos. I don't really get that many views. I'm not really circulated a lot because I have to deal with the algorithms. And depending on the topics, depending on the um, tags you use, they analyze our videos, and for language, if you use keywords, they bury your stuff. Um, so I haven't had any issues with getting suspended or anything because I've been pretty cognizant of um, them targeting free speech. But these platforms are becoming more and more anti-free speech, more and more totalitarian. Totalitarianism is growing, and a lot of people who you would think are liberals and who would actually be countering this are actually supporting it. So, free speech can't be just the speech that you like. Free speech got to be everybody says whatever they want to say. And when you start allowing people to tamper with your free speech, then you run into a situation where when you want to say something one day, you're going to be censored. And so, black people, we already got one strike. You know how we talk about one strike because you're black. Or, if you're a black woman, my mom used to tell me, you got two strikes. You're black and you're a woman. So with tech, we already have two strikes. If you're, talking black empowerment or black liberation, you are screened out because your language is different and your focus is different, and you are talking about countering whatever the government wants to do, because black empowerment is countering white supremacy, and there is no happy medium or happy middle. So the people in power have to make sure they contain that, and we are contained by our videos not being circulated. We don't come up in search engines. Our stuff isn't shared. We don't get that many views. Some of my videos don't hardly get any views. So I set up an account on Rumble. Put the link in the description. I particularly don't like to use two platforms or all these different platforms because there's so much. I have so many things that I'm already involved in, and I didn't want to have anything else that I needed to maintain. But my issue is, I have things that I would like to tell people who follow me that are really important. Like, I'm getting ready to do a series on how to do some of the things that Dr. Claude Anderson talked about in Powernomics. So um, keep it right here. So as a business management professional and a nonprofit consultant and a fundraiser and a professional grant writer and federal grant reviewer by trade, there are things that we need to do that we haven't done, and I want to work with people who are about empowering black people, who are trying to do things that are going to benefit our community, because our community is going to be left behind. We don't have that much time, and so I need to get black people aligned, like detached from the system, the people that are trying to, so that whenever this thing collapses, we can keep going. And a lot of times that message won't be able to get out because people are not able to get the word out. And the other thing is, like, black people in particular, like, we have an issue with transitioning and moving, and I'm admitting that myself. I've signed up to several black um, social media sites, and I don't use them as much because the engagement is so low. Black people do not, they like the popular, they like the thing where everybody's at, and we go there, we make everything cool, everybody loves it, it's fun, but we neglect black stuff. We neglect black education, we we neglect black social media entrepreneurs trying to do the same thing. There are plenty of people out here trying to do a Twitter who are black, and we don't support them. And I'm talking about myself. So I'm trying to make a conscious effort to do better because my message and my mission has focused on specifically wanting to empower black people. I'm not interested in trying to do anti-racism anymore because, I just feel like, um, racism is ingrained in white people, and white people have so much control over resources and everything else in the world. As you could tell by this Ukraine-Russia war, that racism is everywhere. It's not just an American phenomenon. White supremacy is everywhere. So, black people need to come to this understanding that there's no place on earth you're gonna be able to run. Fix your own house, fix where you are. And so that's what I want to do. And so I'm working on helping people, start up little things in their community. There's something everybody can do, and you're gonna have to do it. Nobody, you're not gonna be able to say, oh, the government should do whatever. Government gonna collapse, and you know what they're gonna take care of? They're gonna take care of white people. They're not gonna take care of black people. They want y'all to die off. They don't know how many times they're gonna have to tell y'all this or show you. They don't care about us. You're gonna have to get some money. You're gonna have to work on developing yourselves and doing like other groups to have money, because this system runs on money. It's a capitalistic system. If you don't have no money, they ain't giving you nothing. If you got to be begging people to do stuff for you, then you're just a welfare recipient. I'm just telling you straight out. That's how this system looks at you. So if you're not planning on going through the courts, or you're not planning on going through some of their legal systems, because they love legalese and words and laws, um, everything else is just waste of time. So what we have to do is position ourselves to compete in a society and in a new world order that is anti-black still, because everything, whatever happens, everybody's still going to be anti-black, but also with fewer resources. And so what we have to do is work with what we have, like we've always done, get back to the basics. And so that's what I'm interested in doing. I'm not able to do that on Twitter. I'm not able to do that on social media. On YouTube. I'm not able to do that on Medium. So I'm going to be transitioning to a lot of different platforms who are focused on black empowerment and helping black people. If you're not there, you're not going there, you're not going to get what I say. And that's fine. I've come to the realization that, everybody isn't serious about black empowerment in black spaces. You say it, you want it with your mouth, but you don't want to move and actually do it. You want to have one foot in, one foot out. You want to be where the cool kids are. You want to be where it's popular. That's why we black people are in the situation we're in now. So I'm not doing that. So hopefully by June I will have all my stuff transitioned. I'm a one person show and I work. So I'm not gonna be able to do everything that I want to do, but I'm still gonna come on and do videos, whatever. But I am transitioning to Rumble, which is a Canadian site. It's not American. They protect free speech thus far, and you don't have to worry about all the policing and some of the other things that we have to deal with on white-owned social media, white-owned, foreign-run, anti-black social media that we don't control. So I'm trying to do some things that gives me more control, and in the process, it means moving and transitioning. So I will post stuff here, but it's probably going to be old, and that's not good for you if I'm trying to do black empowerment, or if I'm trying to warn you about some stuff. And what I have learned is that you know black people are hard people to get to change. It takes drastic measures and sometimes bad things before we change. And I don't like getting lessons like that. I don't like giving lessons like that. So if you're smart and wise, you'll move. A lot of people are moving away from white owned social media or social media that's American based, because we don't have the freedom. Even TikTok is, you know, more um, free than some of these other sites. So and that's the other reason you have to kind of be careful about what you consume, because everything is controlled. I'll just say that everything is controlled. So I want to go where I'm able to have conversations with my people and they're not be suppressed. So I'll be moving to Rumble. I will put that information there. I'm also going to be on sixzeros.net, because they are a codified Black social media platform. I'm going to continue to do the verification process, and then I'm going to write there, and we can have conversations about Black people, for Black people, about Black empowerment, and go from there. So um, that's what I want to tell you about. And again, the links for where I'll be moving and what I'll be doing in the future will be in the description, so you can sign up for those things, get notifications, also join my Patreon page, um, and consider becoming a subscriber, because one of the other issues is that a lot of people would like to do a lot of things, but we have to work. And I would love to do this full time, share what I've learned to help more people, but I have to work and make money, because I can't go to the grocery store and say I help Black people. Can you give me a loaf of bread? I like a package of chicken because I feel like I deserve it, because I empower Black people. Black empowerment requires resources. Every other group takes care of their own except for Black people. We think it's somebody else's responsibility to help us, free us, liberate us, get us on a good foot. It is not. It's our responsibility. And when we don't take care of people who take care of us and who teach us and who help us, we do not um, move forward. And you wonder why all these other groups have moved forward. These other groups have created entire systems, ecosystems, economic structures, and vehicles to empower their communities, and we don't do that. And they support their own, and we don't do that. And they create things and figure out ways to pimp on us, and we don't do that. So, here we are in this dire situation, and our people who could help us, grassroots folks, we gotta work. Like there's no way around it. We gotta work. We gotta try to plant our garden. We gotta try to prep. We gotta do everything. We gotta multitask. And then you want information that comes from Black people, but then you don't want to support the Black people who give you the information, or who can teach you how to do practical things. So it's a double-edged sword, and I'm gonna be moving on from, like, just doing stuff for free all the time, because Black people don't appreciate, even when it's free, you still can't get people to watch it. You can't get them to participate in it, and we're just in a bad way, because we have this bad mentality, or we've been conditioned to think it's somebody else's job to take care of us, not for us to take care of ourselves. So we're going to figure out the hard way how to do that, but it's going to be too late for a lot of people, and I don't want to be in that situation. So I want to be on the right side of history, and I want to be for buffering from whatever is coming. So just again, pay attention to any notifications that I send out. And again, I'll put the descriptions and the links for the places that I'll be going to. And I'm going to be bringing some good content. I have some people lined up that I'm going to interview about some practical things that we need to know about what's coming down the pipe. And, um, that's pretty much all I have for this particular video. I'm going to do another video after this. I feel like this one has been long, but I'm going to talk about the food rationing that's happening all over the globe, and why that's important, and again, why we should be prepping. Um, it's really important that you understand what is happening, and I'm gonna do the video um, after this video, so that it won't be so long. I know people don't really like long videos, but I've been going for a long time, so I need to tell you about a couple other things. So the last thing I'm going to talk about are the headlines that are not being talked about here about the hard times coming and how other countries are preparing and rationing, and we're not talking about it in America. So stay tuned. If you see the next video is going to come up, I'm going to post both of them today so that you will be able to check this out. And I'll also have links to all the stories that I post or share in the next video in the descriptions. So thank you so much. If you enjoyed this content, please like it, share it, subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to subscribe to Rumble, subscribe to Medium, 60s.net, where I write. And I also have a newsletter on Rumble that you can, it's a community that you can sign up for. And don't forget to join or subscribe to Patreon, because this work requires that, more time and dedication. And I don't have that time to give to it right now because I have to work, and I can't live off of $10 a month. Can't pay my light bill with that. Can't buy groceries with that. Can't pay my internet bill with that to do these videos. So, consider not subscribing to me, but other content makers who make things of value. Don't give your money to people who do not bring things of value to you. I know we tend to support a lot of people and watch a lot of channels. If you can support by watching, watch. It's not costing you anything. It is costing you your personal information. But if you can support content makers who provide content of value, please do so, because people are like risking their lives to help you because they love us and their love is not being reciprocated. So that's all I have for today. Don't forget to like the video on your way out. Don't forget to share it, and don't forget to comment. I would love your feedback about what's going on. If you have any comments about Will Smith, I'd be tickled. But to me, it's not gonna free my people. It's not gonna help us be better, and so I don't really care about stuff like that. I want us to be well, and we can't be well focused on other things like other people's business and what other people are talking about or what they want us to talk about, because it is a distraction from the things that are coming down the pipe. So be safe, keep prepping, and know that I appreciate each and every one of you for taking the time to watch this video um, and subscribing to this channel. I don't take you for granted. I just wish I could do more. I just can't, have to work. So thanks for checking in. I'll talk to you next time.